Oh goodness, old man Joshua making mistakes. Let's look over at Twitch and see what Twitch is doing. Oh, there we go. It looks like maybe I might be live now. Okay, I'm back. I kept the tab open all evening. Okay, let me see. Da 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 da. I'm back. Let me send out a tweet just real quick so folks know I'm doing what I'm doing. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Okay, that should be tweeted. Let me check that. Verify the link actually works, because that would be great not to screw that up. Come on, Twitter. Let's see what Twitch is up to. Whoa, it doesn't look beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and it's lovely. This is, I guess, kind of a typical summer afternoon in Washington State, up by Seattle. Kind of overcast, not too hot, nice and cool. Um, yes, I am alive. The project is still alive. Things are just slow. I spent the past year basically. My wife and I had a son, so I've been supporting her and raising him, and it's finally got to a point where I can manage to actually get a little work done on Delver, and I thought I'd share it with you folks so you know what we're up to. Make sure. Da, 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 da. It looks like Retronova says you could recreate Delver fully in Doom 2. Um, with the Z Doom engine, that very well might be possible. I think they have support for like mesh rendering, like Delver does. So as long as you have some way of doing an inventory system, it probably wouldn't be impossible. And it looks like that link works. I think all the administrative stuff is kind of out of the way. It is 12:02 my time, so I guess I should start. I guess it is. It's what is today, August 7th, 2016. This is the Delver development stream. This is the fourth one I've done. So I've been doing them for a month now, which is pretty cool. I do a weekly development stream making art and content for Delver. It's every Sunday at noon. If it's not going to be at noon, I'll usually get a hold of you folks a few days out to let you know it's not going to be at noon. I also like to try to do, if I time permitting, a bonus stream sometime throughout the week, and those are last minute kind of deals that come up as time permits. I have a baby, so time. This is the one thing I can commit to, and the other things I have to kind of squeeze in. So if you follow me on Twitter or on Twitch, you'll get notifications when those start. I was not able to do one this week because my parents are in town visiting for this entire week. They're here right now, and they're helping watch my son, which is really, really helpful. In addition to them being here this week, we're also painting the house today. So this stream will be probably just an hour. It'll be a little bit shorter. I guess we'll kind of go into what got done last week. Let me see. So I think last week, I just after the stream last week, I just kind of worked on finishing off this asset we were making. It's this this Brazer. It's going to be plopped down. You know, I want to have a nice, cool fire sprite to tuck in there, and maybe some particle effects coming off of it in a light source. I think that would be cool. That'd be a useful thing to have. So I think when I last left, I hadn't finished the inside texturing or the texturing of the fire or the bottom. Those aren't super interesting, so I just went and did them off stream. I also went ahead and added a slight angle to the brazier. You have to be careful about this because when I unwrapped it, I did it. Let me pull up the UV so you can see what I did. Actually, it should be right there in the top right. So if you look at the UVs, I unwrapped it perfectly rectilinearly, if that's even a word. So when I unwrapped it, I did it, everything's at a 90, which is how I initially modeled it. And then later I went in and I added these angles. I was saying you have to be careful because if you add too much of an angle with the UV still being straight, you'll get some distortion in your textures. A lot of folks run into this when they're making pixel perfect models. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I scale this in, as I scale, you notice how the pixels on the texture distort in very unappealing ways. And all that is just a matter of the way that texture is getting mapped down to those two triangles on this face. So the way I've done it now, it is very slight. So the texture I think still holds up okay. If I were to have a more aggressive angle, I would have changed the way I unwrapped it. I would have maybe projected it the way it was, and then having to deal with these pixels not lining up perfectly along the edges. There's ways of dealing with that. Michaela says, "Cool, happy for my family." Thank you. That's very kind of you. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's awesome. He's the best thing in my life right now. Fuse.core says, "Couldn't I take that from the Delver opening scene?" What exactly do you mean, the Delver opening scene? I did lift. So I did lift this texture. I think this texture was lifted out of the campfire, and then I kind of resized it and tweaked it to make it look good for this. But yeah, I did reuse that texture just because it's fast, and to be honest, you really shouldn't be seeing into the brazier very much. It's kind of the way it sits in game. Let me fire up the game. We'll take a look at it because it should be working. At least I left it working, so that's the hope. Cool, yeah, so Fuse.core is just confirming that that's what he meant. And yeah, I'm trying to be smart about this and just reuse as much as I can without making it look bad, you know. I'm trying to be efficient with my time. So let's launch the editor starter. Cool, let's go ahead and open up one of our start levels, because that's what we've been working on for forever. How about start number 2? Picking you. Okay, I should be able just to... Yeah, like if I wanted to, say, replace this torch, so remove the marker, and I could place... I think I did a prefab for it, so... maybe I didn't. I don't think I have yet, so let's place the entity, go through the song and dance again, so make a grate, and then select the grate. I'm just going to pop it up on the Z, just so it's above the floor there. Oh, add it as a prefab. Let me delete that, and then add it back as an entity. Again, prefabs you can't change the individual properties on, but entities you can. So let's place the grate entity, move it up, and then let's go over here in the inspector. And then what I want is I want Brazer.obj, and then I want textures / temple / meshes .ping. Yes, I guessed it. Perfect. Let's resize the collision box to something a little bit more reasonable. 4. 0.8. Yeah, that's not. It'll have to be. It'll be close enough for us to see. So I'm going to slide over in this corner because I think that would look cool. Make sure I got it lined up with the floor. And then I'm just going to add. If I try to place a light in here, right? Let's do entities lights. Ambient. That's cool. Turn on. Hit L to turn on the light preview mode, so we can see this is what the light looks like. Right now the light is pure white, and Fire does not give off pure white light. Fire gives off a nice yellowy, orangey light. So that's what we're going to kind of mimic here. So we have a little color picker up here, and I'm just going to try to find a nice kind of warm yellow, and that looks all right. I'm just going to kind of slide it above there. Let's just kind of see what the brazier might look like eventually. That seems okay. Hit play. Yeah. That seems okay. Yeah. Is it too high still? Yeah, I think it's too high. Let me nudge that down just a touch. There we go. Turn off the lighting preview there because I think I have it. It's close enough. This is just to kind of see how it's going to look. And then yeah, so that's what it would look like. Maybe like it's a little fire pit. It's going to have. It has the coals in it. You can't see them unless you have the right angle. It'll have fire coming out of it, which I think will be cool, and some sparks. So that's kind of what I finished up after the last stream. I think maybe today, since I have a shorter stream, I might just try to make a texture variant for the dungeon floors of this brazier, and then after that, I'll probably just take some questions from you folks because it's going to be a short stream today. Retro Nuba 10 says, "Hey Josh, remember how I sent you that unfinished mod a while back? Would you mind checking that out now if you haven't already?" I did check it out. Unfortunately, I haven't had much time to really give it an in-depth look. So Retro Nuba had sent me a few pieces for the level generator to look at, and he was starting on a new cool cold level, which is really cool. Yeah, it's one of my favorite set pieces to work with. I would like to talk about it on stream if that's okay with you. Probably not today, maybe on a later stream. And if there are any other folks who would like me to kind of take a look at their content, I'd love to do kind of like a mod content roundup. So if you're working on something cool, I'd like to show it off next Sunday. So send them my way, and I will show everyone what everyone's working on, and we'll talk about it. So next week. But I did get it working, and I did get everything loaded and fine. So what I want to do is I want to make a variant for this, and how we have it set up is, let's go to my file system here. So in the we have all of our textures. We have sets of textures. So there's temple, sewer, and cold. That's when we started doing this new texturing scheme. Unfortunately, as I make a pass through things, I may go back and fix them. It just depends on how much effort that's going to take. But in temple here, I have a separate meshes. Stupid Windows 10. So I have. Let me fire up Photoshop. I've tried to plot out where the Brazer lives in the meshes texture file so that it's easy to basically copy over the texture and modify it for other themes. So let's open up over textures, temple, and there we go. So I've tried to put this in a spot that will work for all of their dungeon themes. So what I can do, I can just copy everything, so get the whole sheet, and then I'll open up the one I want to put it on. So file open, and I think I just want to drop it on just the basic dungeon meshes sheet. So open that. Cool. And if I paste the temple stuff in there, I can just select what I want to keep. Select inverse, delete. Okay, yeah, and that lives nicely right there. Make sure I don't have any bleed into areas I don't want it. So let me clean that up. Go over here and clean that up. Try to get rid of some of this blue. Okay, merge that down, save it. And now go back to Blender. And I can start working on a variant for the normal dungeon. So Retro Nuvo says, including the custom enemies. I don't recall seeing the custom enemies. I saw there were. It looks like there were some meshes that had some texture alignment issues, but I don't recall seeing any new enemies. He says he's really proud of the snowman. I will dig through the text to sprite sheets just to make sure that they are there and things aren't on my end aren't broken. So I'm not sure if I'm broadcasting anymore. That's concerning. I still have internet, but my Twitch doesn't seem to be. Okay, I'll just keep going, and then hopefully the stream will come back. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this over to. Let me see what material those other things are using. So let's go to default scene, and then I'll try refreshing Twitch. They don't have a material. That's curious. They must just be unwrapped. Okay, let's go over to here. And let's just remove that. And then I should just be able, if I pop over Yeah, let me find the right. If I refresh it. Open image. So I hope I'm still broadcasting. I haven't got much feedback from chat lately, which is making me nervous. So if you could just let me know if I'm still streaming or not, that would be appreciated. Assets, meshes.png. That's the wrong one. There we go. Okay, cool. So it looks like I'm still streaming, so that's great. I'm just going to start, I guess, painting, which is cool, which is fun. Real quick, just see. Duplicate that. Let me just. I need to move. Basically, I want to retexture this to fit the theme for the original dungeon. So it's probably going to be stone and iron. So I need to go over here. I think I usually have the texture sheets broken out somewhere. Or, actually, so I have examples of stone here. Go over to paste. Cool. And then I also like the way I did the iron in the over here. I thought the iron really reads well on this particular asset. So I'm just temporarily copying them over, so I can just kind of reference them to see how, just so I can maintain that consistent style. And also I'll be color picking from them as well. Oh, Michaelia says I will be talking about JSON files. Yeah. I can do that. About the last 15 minutes, I'll talk about JSON files. So my concern with JSON files and modding is sometimes when we change stuff internally, that we break all the mods, and that really sucks. We are still in early access, and we try not to do it, but occasionally we do it. So I just want to let the people working on mods know that if they also package the JSON files with their mods, it will insulate them from that a bit more. But going forward, I will try not to do that. And if I do make breaking changes to people's mods, I'll try to figure out, maybe I'll communicate that on the Steam modding forums, so you folks know how to correct or course correct from the actions we're taking. But yeah, I'll touch on that the last 15 minutes during the question and answer time. Dr. Kegel says stone, iron, and mossy. Yeah, stone, iron. Maybe mossy. That could be cool. Yeah, I like that. I'll start with stone and maybe add moss later, or I can make just another variant, which would be cool, just for variety's sake. So if I remember correctly, I think I do need a material on this if I want to do texture painting in Blender. So let's do. Let's call it dungeon material because I need one because I haven't made one. And then over here on texture, I need to do something like use the existing texture that I already have in here. for new, and then yeah, material, texture, and image are all separate things, which can be confusing at times. So I think it's meshes.ping. Is it the right one? No, that's not the right one. Meshes.ping 005? No. Ugh, come on, Blender. There we go. Meshes.ping 003. For some odd reason, that's the one. That's the magic one it wanted. I need to go through some time and clean up this Blender props file because it's starting to get a little ridiculous. Okay, so object mode, I need to change it to texture paint, which is cool. Actually, let me go ahead and exit back out and try to, because I'll position these meshes behind this one, so it's a little bit easier for me to color pick. It's kind of like that. Okay. Yep, so Michaelia says, also package your current JSON files with the current texture pack, just in case. Got it. Yep, that should insulate you. You can go more specific and get only the ones you're touching, but that's a little bit more involved. But again, if I do make breaking changes to the JSON, I'll let you folks know. So texture paint. So I need to start changing this. Let's see, my brush to draw, and then start working on this iron. So I need the dark iron. Actually, let me just start laying down long lines. Oop. That's not correct. There we go. So, excuse me. For some reason, my Wacom mapping is all messed up. So mapping, Blender, full. There we go. I thought the pin was acting really strange, like it was only moving like basically half the distance because the mapping was messed up. Yeah, normally I have a 2-monitor setup, but as you can see today, I am streaming from the great outdoors because my parents and my wife and my son are inside having a great time, and I wanted to kind of keep the noise to a minimum, so I'm out here with you folks, enjoying the nice air, listening to the birds. So I'm just going to try to just lay down some colors and block this out so I can get a kind of a feel for what it's going to look like. I'm going to change my brush here. I'm just going to start scribbling in. Dr. Kegel says, is it technically possible to fill with a water puddle? So you can't get water like the water that's based on the map geometry. You could add a water texture to it, but it would still behave as if it were solid. Skyriad says, is that a chest? No, this is a brazier. It's like a fire pit. I made one last stream. Right now I'm just retexturing this one so I can reuse it in earlier levels. Because it's nice to get as much reuse out of these assets as we can. So I'm just going to give it a new coat of paint, and I'll put it some other levels to kind of bring kind of the variety and quality of stuff up to the same level. Michaelia says, do you still have plans for towns and an overworld? No. I don't know if that's ever on the actual roadmap. Right now we just have the kind of the starting campfire area, and I think that's as big as that's ever going to be. We would like to do another project that's a little bit bigger in scope, but I think for Delver, I think we're going to try to keep this one a little bit more constrained. So Skyred says, "Oh, this game is made with Blender." Well, the 3D assets are certainly made with Blender. The game itself is written in Java and it uses OpenGL. 8 AKA says, "I didn't know Blender had a 3D texture tool. Also, thanks again for those upgrade machine textures for our game." Oh, that might be one of the Strafe guys. That's really cool. Maybe? I don't know. I think that's who you are. Because those are the only upgrade machines I know that I did. I'm really looking forward to see those in game. I think I'm right. Let me know if I'm wrong. Correct me. But yeah, no. Blender's texture painting it's pretty cool. To make it work right though, over here in this it's the I think it's the N panel or the T panel. I forget which one. Which is it? The T panel. You have to go to the curve, and under the curve settings, you need to make sure it's flattened out. By default, it has this kind of this nice exponential fall off, and you want just a straight flat fall off to get nice crisp pixel textures. At least for the style that I'm working on. Okay. Just again blocking out, not trying to get too specific. So I want to grab this light gray for this. Let me just grab that and kind of just do some outlines for these guys. Cool. And also, if you notice, I'm only really texturing two of the sides because the way I have it UV unwrapped. I'm just trying to get some texture reuse out of it. So two of the sides are mapped, and then two other sides just reuse those same textures. So if you look in the textures up here in the upper right, I have done the top, the bottom, and then two sides. Again, just trying to be efficient with texture usage. So he's the art guy Nick. Hey, I'm a big fan of your stuff. You make really rad stuff. Thanks for stopping by. Yep. No worries about reworking those designs. Like, I totally get it. I totally understand also taking out language, because for a small team, like, we don't have budgets to translate our game into as many languages as we'd like. So I totally get just trying to go totally the graphic route. I get it. Skyriad says, "I really like the outside part of the town of the Start Gale. It's peaceful and stuff. That could be a nice little add-on extension." But I definitely like that too. So what we've done is we've added what we call interstitial areas. So every so often, you'll get a break from the main dungeon into what we call an interstitial, which is just kind of a calm little area. We have two of those right now. We have one that's like a cave with a tower in it and has a merchant in it, and then the other one is the cold area, and that's an interstitial area which has some kind of little goodies to explore and look around. I definitely like those. I think it breaks up the pace a little bit because I think, at least in my mind, Delver is a lot more about exploration and is kind of being in cool environments. I mean, there is some combat elements to it, but it's also, I think it's just, I want it to be a cool place to be. So I definitely appreciate the calmer areas as well as the fighty areas and the trappy areas. Yep. So Melkelios is agreeing that first game, keep it constrained, keep it small. I totally agree. Yeah, we're just two guys trying to do the very best that we can, and we're trying to keep things moving at a decent pace. Skyriad says, "I think the community can translate the game easily." So for us, we have all of our text in external JSON format, which is easy to translate. For the stuff I did for Strafe, the text was actually in the texture itself, which means instead of just changing the wording, you'd have to go in and repaint all the textures for all the different languages you want to support, which is a real pain. So it's much easier to have that stuff in text than actually in a texture on a model. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so let me see. Let's just continue blocking this in. Try not to worry too much about details just yet, because we're not to the detail stage. Okay. Inside of Brazer, you see a lot more texture distortion. I'm not a super huge fan of that. I may go back in and fix that. But again, you don't see into it very often, so I might be able to live with it for the time being. I don't know. If I have nightmares about it, I'll go back and fix it. So let me see. Skyriot says, can't stay more. Want to say thanks for making the game. Keep us informed. Goodbye. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Retro Nua says, my mouse cursor seems to be offset to the right for us. That's strange. Maybe it has something to do with the Wacom mapping. So this is my mouse. This is my Wacom. Maybe things just are the way the software does that. Might be a little screwy. Hopefully it's not too obnoxious to watch. Yeah, so Retro Nua says, I forgot his unit had it. Yeah, I have an ancient, huge old Wacom tablet that I use. I bought it when I was first getting into digital art, and it still works, so I haven't replaced it yet. Like, I've been super tempted by like the really fancy Cintiqs and stuff, but at this point in time, why spend the money when this works perfectly well for me? Those look awfully. My concern right now is looking at the way it is the colors look awfully similar. So let's just keep going. Maybe the way if I add some more of the dark bricks in here, that'll break it up a little. So let me just start adding some highlights to the metal. Zoom in a little bit so my brush is a little bit more precise. And sometimes too the texture painting in Blender can be a little fiddly, so you just gotta just be patient and work with it. So I think for this stuff I just have the highlight. Do I want to add like that little banding thing? I think it's kind of cool. Let me see what it looks like if I just add a quick little band across here. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out the areas that would get more light. So these corners, they will tend to catch more light, which is just how corners work in real life, even. Okay. It's looking all right, I think. throw a highlight on top here. Call out the corners. Let me just go ahead and just add that. Cool. Then go in with my brush, just kind of break it up a little. Okay, it's looking all right. Maybe I want to do something like, what does this look like if I put a line here? Put that dark guy down there. Yeah, I'm not feeling that. Let me just undo that real quick. What if I... since I'm not feeling it, let me just pivot to the... Let me work on the bricks now. Maybe that'll keep me from freaking out. So brick. So big brick, a couple little bricks there. Big brick there. Carry that around. Okay. I don't want this to be too samey, so let me just do something like that. It doesn't quite make sense around that corner. Ugh. Push these a little bit more. Okay. I might just have to could do something like maybe put something, maybe make it look like that's broken there. That somehow makes sense why that lines up. I don't know. Maybe. So let me look at the chat real quick. So Nick's saying they use the exact same tablet for the exact same reason, which, yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's kind of bulletproof. I've had it forever. I've not been too kind to it, and it just keeps working. So, yeah, totally feel the Wacom love. Since the metal has a more pure gray look and the stone has a pinkish look, I think it'll work. Nick is also pointing out that they reflect light in a different pattern, and there'll be more noise on the stone. Yep. So those are like so I try to take these real-world properties of like metal and stone and do my best to render them in pixel art. So yeah, so metal tends to have really sharp highlights. So the difference between the highlight and the kind of the diffuse texture or the diffuse color is really very contrasted, whereas on the stone it isn't as extreme, and also the stone will have some texture to it. So I think that will help it read more like stone. So let's just keep going. What if so I want to let me add some dark stones to kind of break up that. So this guy's going to be dark. And then around the corner here, what if this whole guy here, he's kind of dark. So he's kind of just trying to imply that maybe it's a little recessed a little further back than the other stones, so they catch a little bit more shadow, or don't catch as much light, depending upon how you want to think of it. Okay. Let me just go ahead and throw some shading down on the stones. Just kind of looking at how I did it before, because these are some of the first textures I ever did for Delver several years ago. So I just want to be consistent. So like that. Trying to highlight with the edges where they catch the light. And I was assuming that the light is to the upper left. Also on the stone, I also put like a little like the stone's actually catching some underlight for some odd reason. That's what I went with initially, so I'm just kind of sticking with it. Okay, and then pop out the highlight on the stone a little bit. Oh, sorry, my second machine went to sleep. We gotta wake it up again. Yeah, so instead of having a 2-monitor setup today, I have a 2-laptop setup. So my little old laptop's getting some use, which is always good. Let's see what else. Yeah, I put some of that tan down there too. So let me just throw some of that tan to break up this pink on the bottom. Not trying to be too careful with it, just trying to let it just fall where it will. Okay. And then I kind of put this little underlight to make it look like it has a little bit of a lip to it, like they were cut. Little variations here and there. It's starting to look more like the stone. Oh yeah, let me add some, I kind of do some dithering on these guys too. Just imply overhang, like they're protruding in so the light doesn't catch them quite where it does on the other one. So that's looking cool. Yeah, I think that helps. It helps differentiate it from the metal a little bit more. It looks like it is 12:45, and I told folks that I would start taking questions and answers, and I talk a little bit about, for the modders, how to kind of insulate yourself from the changes. So let me just save my work before I forget about that. So if you are working with the Delver assets, you will notice it should be in the data folder. There's a whole bunch of these .dat files, and what they really are is they're JSON. So you can just open them up with any text editor, like do I have Sublime Text? I think I have Sublime Text. Yeah, like Sublime Text. That's an old. Let me scroll that down a little. So these are what drive all the data. So for example, this spritesheets.dat, this, if you're familiar with JSON, what this is right now this is a list of objects. Each object is a sprite sheet entry. So for entities.ping, so if I open up file, open, and then here in the root folder, entities.ping, this is the sprite sheet that this entry is talking about. It says it has 16 columns, and that looks about right. It says, the file name entities.ping, it says its scale is 1. The scale is cool because I wanted to have that feature in case we wanted to have like extra large enemies. You could play with the scale to make sure that would happen. So basically, right now all the Delver sprites are 32 by 32. What you could do is you could make a 64 by 64. But if you left the scale at 1, that would shrink it down, and all the pixels will be compressed to half size. But if you change the scale to 2, then you'd have an enemy that still has the same pixel ratio or texel ratio, but is twice as large, which I think could be cool. So these are the sprite sheets. So again, for entities.ping, and then we name it entity. Textures.ping, this is for textures. Sprite sheet items. So all the different textures get chopped up using this item, this JSON data. Okay. Cool. So chat's quiet. So I'll just keep talking. So this entities.dat, this is where all the data should live that concerns the actual enemies. Let me see. Or sorry, excuse me, not entities, monsters. Entities are kind of the more like decorative objects, so all the different doors and traps and decoration items are entities.dat. Monsters.dat, what it does is it has, these are how the monsters are defined, and you can create new ones, or see how the current ones are created. So, so you have, so this is JSON, so this is like a dictionary. So the monsters object has a bunch of entries for where they spawn. So I think there should be like cave, dungeon. So these kind of control what spawns where. So for all of the cave, so this, I guess, yeah, Sublime Text does collapsing, so that's cool. So these are the cave. Let me collapse all these so we can see what they look like. It's nice when the editors do folding. So we have this dictionary object. The only entry in the dictionary is monsters. In that dictionary, so it's a dictionary containing a dictionary, it has a cave, a dungeon, undead, sewers, boss, and debug. So these all correspond, at least most of these correspond to the areas. So for the cave area, if I were to pull that back out, now we have a whole bunch of entries here. So I can collapse all these, and these will correspond to every single, they should correspond to the different monsters. So here's a spider, and there's a bat. I'm looking at the name. And worm, etc. So I'll just kind of walk through the data here. So the texture is the texture index on the sprite sheet. So the top left is 0, and working your way left to right, top to bottom, use count up. So this happens to be the 30-second texture on the entities texture sheet called spider. It has a speed, max hit points, attack, and all these different properties you can kind of play around with. So the kind of important ones are the sprite atlas tells you where they live. If you don't specify which entity sprite sheet to pull from, it will assume the default one, which lives in the root directory. You have a couple of animations. How animations work is you give it a start frame and an end frame and a play speed. So, for example, this one is starts at 45, ends at 48, and has a speed of 22. I think that might be milliseconds, but I'm not entirely for certain. You might have to play with that to see how that looks. Yeah, but there are a number of animations that we support. An interesting thing, if you'll notice, is this attack animation has an action on it. So let me format this a little bit easier. So what this should look like is, oh, we have word wrap on. Yeah, let's turn off word wrap. So the attack animation looks like this. So it's the attack animation starts on frame 36, ends on frame 40, has a speed of 30, but on frame 39 take this particular action, which causes it to do damage. Which is really cool is there are any number of things you can put. So you can have it attack multiple times. Like you could have it attack on frame 36 and frame 38. You can also have it do physics impulses. You can have it emit stuff. So this is really powerful, and we haven't really used it a lot. And I would like to in the future. But right now, this is a cool thing where you get iteration for your mods. And this, so adding actions applies to any of the animations. So basically, it would look like this. So you would have basically an attack animation, and one of the properties of the attack animation is actions, and this is just a dictionary of frames and the action take on that given frame. And I think that's most of the data that is actually on any given entity. Yeah, and here again, like if you look on this bat, he takes a couple different actions as far as knocking stuff around and doing damage. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, just reference the JSON files that come with Delver if you want to kind of tweak how any behavior works. You can also I could just copy this whole thing right here. Copy. I could go down below, and I could paste it. And I can call this Mega Spider, and I could make its max hit points, say, 40, and its attack 10. Its insect, the blood type is insect, so that means it's going to spawn green particles when hit. Blood pool decal, blood splatter decal. Those are without playing with them, I'm not quite sure what they do. Can open doors. Yeah, let's make that true because it's a mega spider. Mega spiders can totally open doors and ruin your day. So these are all the sounds. We can just leave those the same. Right now, I haven't changed the texture. I could make a new texture for this. I could tint it to a different color to indicate this is a mega spider. I could just simply draw a little crown on his head. I can make him twice as big, like I was talking about earlier. But all I have to do is save this out, and this would be one of the options when the generator picks from the hat what monster to put into the dungeon. This mega spider would now be included. It's just that easy to make new monsters. And what you would do is you would save this out in a separate monsters.dat in your mod folder, and when we launch Delver, what we do is we prefer your JSON entries over ours. So we'll load ours, and then we'll look at yours, and then we'll load on top anything you've defined. Okay, it is 12:55. It's getting pretty darn close to wrapping things up. I do apologize for having a shorter stream, but I do have my folks are over, and I do want to spend time with them. I want to spend time with my son, and we still have rooms to paint. One of which is my home studio, which I'm very excited about painting, which is going to be, it's cool. Right now it's kind of this deep navy blue dungeon, and I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit so it's not so dreary to work in, which hopefully next Sunday I will be back in. So any questions? Oh, Micheliaz says this is helping a lot. Cool, yeah. I think that's one of the things I really want to work on after we actually release Delver fully 1.0, is I want to go through and kind of do maybe a little short series on how to make a kind of a comprehensive Delver mod, because the engine does there's a lot more than folks realize it does, and unfortunately I don't think we showcase all the features as well as we could, but I'm trying to have some restraint in that fact because we can do a lot of cool stuff, and I feel like if we throw everything in Delver it would look kind of silly, so I'm trying to have some restraint. But yeah, I would like to work on showing mod stuff. Do more a tutorial series after Delver's out. But since we're talking about mods again, I guess this has been a very a very mod heavy episode. Send me your mods. I would love to show them off the next development stream next Sunday. You can send them to my email address, which is joshua.skelton@gmail.com. I'll go ahead and drop that in. I dropped it in the chat. So email me your stuff if you want me to talk about it next stream. Depending upon how much content I get, that's how much time I'll carve out for it. But right now, I think Retro Nuva 10 sent me some level pieces and some sprites to look at, and I forget who else. I got sent some items that he had made, so I want to look at those as well, which is really cool and exciting. So I love the stuff you guys make. It's so cool to see what you do with Delver. Sometimes you do really interesting stuff, but I have to kind of borrow your ideas a little bit. Not ripping you off, but when you use stuff in interesting ways, I'm like, oh, I've never thought of that before. So, yeah, you guys inspire me and you motivate me, and thank you for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being patient. Delver is still being developed. I still love Delver. It's awesome. I love working on it. It's a great thing to do. And if there aren't any questions, I think I'll let you go a little early. So have a good Sunday, and I will talk to you guys later.